What's up? What's up? We're gonna have Bryan Parady on the show here in about a couple minutes right now. So you guys joining in, thank you. If you guys have any questions, fitness questions, just pop them down right there on the question mark. We're about to have Bones to Bulk on the show. There he is, Bones to Bulk. Just send me a request right now. Let's do it. Let's go.
All right. Let's go,
What's
baby.
up? What's
How
up?
are you? It's good to
I'm
see you,
good,
Bryan.
and you? You too.
I'm good, dude. Hey, your hair looks great, by the way.
Thanks, man. I worked hard on it, man. It takes me so long to get it like this.
No, I'm just giving you shit. Hey, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. I love
Yeah.
I love talking with you. I don't even feel like we're it's just like, hey.
Yeah. No, dude, I'm stoked to talk because I've watched you grow so much on TikTok. Like, wow, what are you at right now with followers? You're at like 300,
Like
200K?
200, just hit 200,000 not too long ago, like 203.
Wow. Dude, talk to me a little bit about that before we get into our topics, because that's insane. Like every
Yeah.
week I've seen you grow about, 20,000 or, like 10,
Yeah.
20,000.
It varies week to week for sure. Like, it just depends on if I get a video that hits good, I'll have a really good week, and then it'll kind of slow down again. So, but yeah, man, crazy. Like, I jumped on last September, Labor
I
Day,
know.
and was just like, yeah, I'll try it out. It exploded. Like, I had a couple of videos go viral, and I've just been pumping out consistent content, and I think that's what it all boils down to, really.
Yeah, that was like the biggest question I want to ask you. What would you say are the biggest tips and tidbits that you've gotten from your exposure and growth in TikTok?
One is don't be afraid of the hate because you're going to get a lot of it, especially at
Dude,
first.
absolutely,
um,
absolutely.
I would say the first month or two that I started getting more followers and stuff, man, I just got like crapped on day in and day out. Um, and then it kind of like I still get it occasionally, but it's a lot less now.
For
And
sure.
it's because of my numbers now, which I hate. Like people associate, oh, if you have a lot of followers, then you must know what you're talking about. Whereas
Right.
if you don't, then you don't know, which is really twisted to me. But I
Hmm.
guess it's the name of the game. But yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, man, everybody's like, what's the secret? Like, there is no secret. Like, I'll
Yeah.
put a lot of time into one video and it'll do terrible. And then I'll just do one that pops in my head. It takes 5 seconds and it'll blow up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all about that, just consistently posting stuff every day.
I think when I was going through your feed on TikTok, there were a lot of like you had a lot of trendy videos where you're just doing dual videos with like push-ups,
Yeah,
right? Like you're doing the
yeah.
push-ups, and then you had that like shoulder circuit that really
hmm
took off. Like you had
That
a
one did.
million views on that. That was crazy.
Yeah, my biggest video was an ab exercise, and I think it's at like four something million now, 4 point something million. So
My guy,
yeah,
congrats. No, that's
thanks.
really exciting.
And then crazy, I did it. One of the ones you're talking about, a push up challenge one. It
Yeah, I
went
saw that.
viral in India.
Wow.
Yeah, so that
Wow.
was really awesome.
Yeah, have you gotten like some leads or like any business from like overseas with that, like your programming?
Not really with one-on-one training. I'm doing a lot of sponsorships now, so I have about
Good.
six different companies that I've worked with now on TikTok.
Yeah.
Some were one-time things, some I work with every month, and
Hmm.
it's really beneficial.
My
It
man,
is.
congrats. That's awesome. I'm
Thanks.
glad to hear that. All right, so for everyone tuning in that might not know who you are, I've had a few episodes with Bryan. For those tuning in on the
Mhm.
podcast, right now we're actually IG Live, which is a little bit different. I've never actually done this with
Yeah, me
anybody,
neither.
so it's kind of fun. It's kind of different. But just give us 2, 3 minute background on who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so my name is Bryan Parady. I used to be a super skinny kid. I was 118 pounds. I was tiny, 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 and low self-esteem. Super shy. I grew up in a very sheltered home, so it was just kind of one thing on top of another. I
Where'd you
watched
grow
through the.
up?
I grew up in Texas,
Texas.
about an hour south of Dallas. So
Lone Star
yeah.
State, baby.
Oh
Cool.
yeah, oh yeah. And then so somebody was like, "You got to watch the Rocky movies." I'd never seen them. I think I was 22, and I just binged all of them. Like I watched through all five, and I was like, "I want to get in shape." And the very next day, I went out to, I think, Academy, bought a bench, bought some weights, set it up in my house, and went after it. And had no clue what I was doing. Like, I think the first week, no joke, I got stuck under like 60 pounds of weight. Like, I was bench pressing,
That's
couldn't get it
scary.
up.
That is scary. I've been there. You're
I
just
know,
riding
right?
solo, getting after it, and all of a sudden,
Yes.
I need help. You
Uh-huh.
like roll it down across your body.
Yep. It's exactly what I did.
It's crazy.
But yeah, so I did everything wrong for the first year. Didn't really take it too seriously.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm either going to give up or I'm going to go all in and really figure out what the hell I'm doing. And that's what I decided to do. And
Yeah.
ultimately ended up putting on almost 50 pounds of muscle. And,
Wow.
had a lot of people like, hey, what are you doing? And it kind of just snowballed. I started training friends, and then I went on to become a personal trainer and did it on the side. And then it just kind of grew. My wife was already doing a podcast at the time. And so I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll start a podcast too. And I started that, and then a YouTube channel. And it was just kind of grew from there. I mean, it definitely didn't happen all at once. It was a slow build for sure.
Yeah. A true skinny to bulk. It's no joke.
Yes.
How's Heather doing? How's she doing?
She's good. She's good. She's rocking it in her business. Like, she's completely working from home, running it, and
Cool.
yeah,
That's
living the
awesome,
dream.
man. Awesome. Okay, well, so for the podcast today, guys, for those tuning in on Instagram Live, we have a few topics we want to talk about. Number one is how to increase your squat. Number two, we want to talk about the unsexy side of fitness space, especially on social media. You get a lot of
Yes.
unrealistic physiques. We're going to be talking about that. And then we're going to finish up with sugary drinks, your 2 cents on Gatorade, Powerade, Body Armor. I want to hear your 2 cents on that. And then if we have any questions at the end, we'll do a quick Q&A, and we'll
Sounds
wrap
good.
it up from there. And so,
All right.
yeah, so starting with the question number one, you talked about it on your podcast, but why don't you walk us through, in your eyes and your personal experience, how should someone go about increasing their squat?
Yeah, for sure. So, for starters, I always say drop the weight when you're starting to increase the weight. And I know that seems counterproductive, but oftentimes when we're really trying to push ourselves with a certain weight, and this applies to any exercise, we overload it and we're really not focusing on form.
For
So the
sure.
first thing I would say is drop the weight and really make sure that your form is solid. Make sure that you're going all the way down, that you're not leaning forward or backwards. Film yourself. You
Yeah.
can learn a lot just from filming yourself and watching yourself, go through the motions. So that would be my first suggestion.
Mhm.
Then from there, I would make sure that I'm squatting twice a week. Usually, I always recommend working out all muscle groups twice a week. I just think the
For
body
sure.
builds a lot more strength that way.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. And then, so your first time during the week that you do squats, do, your regular squats and along with accessory exercises. So you also want to really make sure you're doing lunges, hip thrusts, leg press is good. It's all going to benefit you on the squat, doing other leg exercises. Like, don't just get, tunnel visioned on, I can only do squats. No, like, do other leg exercises.
Yeah.
And then on your second day of the week that you're doing squats, do a variation squat. So don't do the same squat. So maybe front squats, goblet squats, pause squats, where you go down and you hold it for about 2 seconds at the bottom before you come back up.
I love those, man. They
Yes,
hurt. Like
they do.
You got to be focused when you're doing those. Like
You
a
do.
3 second, 5 second tempo, and you're not even
Mhm.
going very heavy, right? Like that just
No,
burns the next
it
day
does.
too. You're sore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the next day you really feel it.
Cool. Keep going. Keep going. This is great.
And then another type you can do also is, set the safety racks in the bottom position and get under the bar without like it on your shoulders. So you're basically, the bar is loaded up on the safety rack. You bend down, get underneath it, and then push up. So you're pushing up from like a literal dead standstill. So
Yeah.
that's another really great way to build strength. So, do regular squats one day and then the other day do a different kind of squat.
Yeah.
And then the last thing I would say to build it up is go on a 4-week cycle with your reps. So in week 1, go at a higher rep range and lower weight. So maybe like 15 reps, or give yourself a range, maybe like 12 to 15, and do 3 or 4 sets and make sure you're hitting at least 12 on every set. Like, if you can't hit 12, you need to lower the weight. You want to make sure you're hitting that rep range. Then in
Yeah,
week
for sure.
2, drop your reps down by like 3. So go down to maybe 9 to 11. Week 3, drop it down to 6 to 8 reps. And then in your final week, week 4, do 3 to 5 reps. So each week you're going down in reps. And this applies to both days that you're doing squats, but you're going up in weight. Yeah. And do that cycle 2 times through. So basically like an 8-week cycle. And you will see your lifts go up in that 8 weeks, like dramatically.
Like yeah. I definitely have some similar format when I program. This is great, by the way. I think that's really important that people hear that, because a lot of the times, and this is what I want to jump into, everybody wants to do that 1 rep, right? They want to see their numbers. They want to get that. They want to see the progress. What are your thoughts on the philosophy on the 1 rep max for the squat?
I think
as far
1
as
rep
strength
max
training
is,
goes.
Yeah, I think in general they're overrated.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
it's cool to get that snapshot and be like, I 1 rep max, and everybody's like, what's your deadlift, what's your squat, what's your bench press? In reality, like just going for 1 rep maxes all the time doesn't build your strength. Your 1 rep max is not going to increase very much if that's all you're going for all the time. There's nothing wrong with having goals. Like I have a goal that I want to hit on bench press this year that I didn't hit last year. So like there's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want that to be the sole focus. And oftentimes what we lose when we just go for 1 rep maxes is the time under tension, because we're not really straining that muscle to the max. It's a very brief strain and then we're done, rather than really pushing that muscle and seeing how far it can go.
Totally. And then switching gears from strength, how would you tell somebody if they wanted to just grow their legs? How would they go about their programming? I already know what you're going to say as far as diet, because that's the majority of your results, but give us your 2 cents on that. I want to hear that.
I mean, yeah, nutrition is key. I mean, that was my biggest struggle when I started, is I lifted regularly for like a year. Granted, I lifted pretty improperly, but, I didn't change anything with the way I ate. I was still down in ice cream and Oreos and soda, and like, it was terrible.
Yeah, you're getting that Ben and Jerry's every night, baby.
Exactly. Dude, I would lay out some ice cream. And, people would just be like, well, if you're skinny, just eat more calories. I don't even want to know how many calories I was consuming back then. It was probably an ungodly amount. But it did nothing for me. It was like empty calories in and empty calories out. So really hone in on the nutrition, because that's what's going to build size. If your muscles don't have the proper nutrition to feed themselves, then they're never going to grow. You can work, maybe a little bit, but you can work them out to death. And if your nutrition just is totally sucky, then they're not going to grow. So definitely the nutrition side of it. And then with the strength training, again, I think it really comes down to the time under tension. I think that is really key to any kind of mass growth. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, it's basically just, straining the muscle for as long as possible,
right.
Not limiting yourself to 3 sets of 10 if you can do more reps, like going until failure, maybe not every time, but really pushing yourself in the gym. Yeah, a lot of times and myself included in this, I walk out of the gym and I know, like, I could have pushed harder on that or that. Like, we sell ourselves short a lot.
For sure. I want to stay on that diet topic when it comes to building your lower half. And what would you say, or like your advice that you would give for people that are trying to grow, what are some options they can go for? Like, what does an ideal day look for you when you're trying to grow muscle? Like,
right. I think it differs a little bit for everybody, because we all have different tastes, and we all respond differently to things. For me personally, what I found works best for me and for those I train is I try to do, if you're trying to gain size, I try to do 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, if it's weight loss, I usually go down a little bit, but for gaining mass, it's 1 gram per pound. And I know that's a little high, but in reality, that still only equates to usually about 30 to 35% of your total daily calories coming from protein. For as far as fats go, I really try to keep that under 25%. Under 20, I think, is ideal, but that can be pretty tough. And then the rest is carbohydrates, healthy carbs, not Lucky Charms and pizza.
Guilty. I'm guilty with the Pebbles. The Fruity Pebbles are so good, man.
Man, the cereal is my wife's weakness too. Like, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is her crack. So
it's so lethal. I have Fruity Pebbles after like a long run, and then I go on a workout like in the evening. That is like the meal that I want. It's Fruity Pebbles and milk is the best, dude. It's money.
Cereal it's so addicting, and there's so many good options out there too.
Yeah, it's
But yeah,
terrible.
so that's kind of how I break up the macros, and then really make sure you're getting enough. And you can go on Google and type in calorie calculator for weight gain, and it'll give you an estimate. Know that that's not going to be 100% accurate. Like
Mm,
it's a general setting. So if you find that you're following it and you're not really gaining any, you're going to need to bump it up. Or the opposite's true. If you're trying to lose fat and you're following whatever the calculator told you, but you're not losing it, then you need to drop it down some more.
yeah.
So really kind of it takes some trial and error with figuring out your body, because the general, like, I don't know, the main things are solid for everybody, like those foundational key things. But at the same time, there's some different tweaking that everybody needs. So I think
Mhm.
really listening to your body, paying attention to your body, how it responds to things is super important.
Yeah, I want to go on the other spectrum and talk about weight loss. Like,
Hmm.
do you recommend to track your macros? I mean, everybody, it's so easy now to track them. You can go on
It is.
MyFitnessPal. You have all these calculations that are free and available online.
Yeah.
What's your 2 cents on that?
I think it depends on what stage of the journey you're on. Like
Yeah.
typically if I'm training someone, if you're just starting out, don't track your macros. That's my opinion. Like the only thing I suggested, like starting off, is at least pay attention to your protein. And don't worry necessarily too much about the carbs and the fat right now. I think later on, as you begin to fine tweak and start to hit your goals and then want to fine tweak your goals, I think then macros becomes more of an important role. But at the beginning, really just mainly focus on how many calories overall you're eating. Try to get them from good sources,
Yeah.
obviously, and don't really get too in the weeds with macros, because I think we can get so overwhelmed with macros that it turns us off. Like we're just like, oh, I don't know what to eat, and I got too much percentage of carbs or not enough percentage of protein, and it can really,
Definitely.
I think, distract us from the journey. So I would say later on, really start paying attention to it. But at the beginning, more so just focus on your overall calorie count and make sure you're getting enough protein.
Money, man. That's great advice. All right, let's talk about the things that people really don't want to talk about, but we all know about it. The unsexy side about the fitness industry, man. Like social
Yeah.
media, there's so much BS. There's so many people out there that show this amazing physique, female and
Hmm.
male, and the reality is like either they're on some sort of gear, they're taking
Yes.
something, and there's just not a lot of authenticity in this
Mm-mm.
space. And that's what's frustrating, man. Like you have people that are super inspiring, but they're full of crap because they're taking
Yeah.
stuff. I want to hear your thoughts on this and like who people should be following that are legitimate, that are motivating, inspiring, and like really give out good content, like
Yeah.
besides you and I, we know
Right.
we're the real deal here, but
That's right.
but give me your 2 cents based off of your episode that you talked about with this.
Yeah.
I want to hear it, and everybody else does too.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what you said. I mean, we've become inundated with the pretty side of fitness, like
Mm.
the ripped abs and every muscle popping and the body smeared with oil and whatever else. And like you said, I mean, sadly, there's more people who are in that space that are on gear than are not on it.
Yeah,
And that's like the effects of that has on the body. I'm not saying they don't work out and still put in work, but you take someone who's putting in the same amount of work as them and not on gear, and their bodies are going to look completely different. And it's
yeah,
just because of what it does to the body and how it affects the muscle growth and everything. So it sets that such an unreal expectation in trying to get fit, because we go in, I don't, every one of us has a different starting point, and it can be really just disheartening when we see someone like that and like, oh, it seems so easy for them, and they're posting pictures of their cheat meals and they've
totally.
got a freaking 8 pack, and like I can't even lose a couple pounds and I'm eating clean every day. So
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing is just it distracts from what the journey is really like. And the journey is ugly. It's not pretty. It's 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and
mm-hmm.
it's tears and sweat and hard freaking work day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
And it just puts such an unreal perfectionist take on the whole thing, and that's why I think it's just so dangerous, because it stops a lot of people before they even start, just because it's like, well, I'm not gonna get to that, so I might as well not even do it.
Yeah, and I want to jump in, and I think you'll agree with this too. You got to think of fitness your journey in fitness as a book, and everyone has a different chapter. They're on a different
Yeah.
chapter, and you just can't compare yourself. Like I tell people online, like it's you
Mm-mm.
versus you. You have these goals that you want to hit. Like
Right.
stay on track, stay on the path, and it's baby steps, and then those baby steps turn into long strides,
For
and
sure.
it becomes pretty exponential when you get to a point where you're
It does.
disciplined with your diet. You've been training, you understand your physique, you understand what you need to eat to like stay
Hmm.
and maintain, grow, lose weight. Like at this point, I'm pretty dialed on when I can figure out ways to kind of be flexible with my dieting.
Yeah.
But I just tell folks and people that ask me, like, what's the secret? Like, really, it comes down to consistency, like
Hmm.
having a plan or program, and just understanding your physique at the same
Yeah.
time, knowing what works for you. Like, my weakness is my shoulders. It's hard to grow my shoulders. And
Hmm.
yeah, like, that's the best way to put it is it's a book. Everyone's on a different chapter. Like, don't compare
Yeah.
yourself at all.
Yeah, and it's so easy to compare. I mean,
Oh,
it
yeah.
really is. And but you hit it on the head. I mean, we're all so different. I give you an example. Like my brother and I are almost like obviously we share the same genes. We're
Yeah.
almost the same height, the same build, and everything. And he's pretty into fitness as well. So we're always talking gym stuff. But his weakness is his chest and shoulders.
Hmm.
And but he's super like his deadlifts are insane, his squats are insane, so he's really strong lower body and back. Whereas I'm the complete opposite. Like I can kill it on the shoulders and chest, but my back and legs are way weaker. And so, even though we do a lot of the same exact stuff, eat a lot of the same stuff, follow a lot of the same advice, our
Yeah.
bodies still respond completely different. So yeah, and like you said, I love what you said about the chapters. Like it is.
Hmm.
And that's another thing that
Totally.
I think the fake fitness influencers try to preach is they're always trying to sell some 30-day course or 60-day course, like 60
Dude,
days to a ripped body. And
that's
it
what kills
takes
me.
years depending on what your starting point is.
What kills me are the ebooks out there that are total cookie cutter garbage programs that people just want to,
Hmm.
make a quick buck on.
Yeah.
And like, oh man, it's so frustrating to see that. And again, dude,
Hmm.
I literally know people in the space that for a weekend, they have like all these little outfits and they take content because they're ripped and they're in their like prime physique, and
Right.
they post all of their Instagram photos like that. Like
Yeah.
that's how they play their content game.
Right.
Same with workouts too. They'll do a few workouts and post them throughout the week. But they
Yeah.
just did like the example workout of like 3 by 12, but they didn't actually do the workout. And I'm just like,
Right.
oh my God, like this is where we're heading. This is where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think too that people are starting to not all by any means, but I think a lot of people are starting to dislike the perfectionist of fitness. I think it's
totally.
starting to become a turnoff. And
Hmm.
I think people are really hungry for that authenticity and that realness and the non pretty picture of somebody like dying in a puddle of sweat. Like I think that's really starting to draw more people in because people, social media is an amazing thing. And
Hmm.
in one hand, it shows all the pretty side, but on the other hand, sometimes you can't hide the ugly side. And so
Absolutely.
I think I think there's just a hunger for that authenticity.
Yeah, I think when I look at social media, like for people that inspire me, I'm looking for people that are constantly, consistently posting. Like Cameron Haynes. I don't know if you
Hmm.
know. Do you know Cameron Haynes
No, I
at
don't.
all? Dude, the guy's a psycho. He runs a marathon a day. He's from
Jeez.
he's from he's from Eugene, Oregon, so he's in my
Okay.
neck of the woods. Dude's like 52 and runs a marathon
Wow.
every day.
That's
And he'll
crazy.
he'll post his whole day of what he does, and it's
Yeah.
like 26, 28 miles a day. And he's just
Wow.
the nicest guy. I
That's cool.
I need guys like that, like David
Right?
Goggins, like The Rock. Like these guys are consistently
Hmm.
doing things and staying busy, but they're just
Yeah.
humble dudes. Like they're great
Yeah.
guys. And you idolize that. Like you want those kind of people because those are the people that's how you want to showcase yourself to other people, right? Like you want to
Yeah.
show that you're consistent as hell, like posting
Hmm.
every single day on TikTok. Like I am more inspired by that than like some dude that's just completely jacked that is not even like involved with his community or involved with like his social. Like social media is to be social. Like you should engage with the people that are supporting you, like liking all of your stuff. You know, I don't know. That's just how I look at it.
Yeah, and that's what it should be. I can't tell you how many times on TikTok people are like, "Oh my gosh, you responded." I'm like, "That's what I'm here for." Like,
it kills me. And the girls are the freaking worst about it. They're too hot, too cool. And same with big influencers that are dudes. Like it's like, dude, you're not too cool, man. They made it for you. Like you need to realize.
Yeah. And there's so many influencers that don't even control their own accounts. They have people that are posting their content for them, so they have zero interaction with their community. And I mean, I think in the long run, it'll come back to bite people.
It's
like
changing.
That
it's for sure changing.
Yeah.
That's cool though. That's cool. I like what you're saying here. All right, let's talk about the last
before we jump to the last topic. I just want to mention real quick because talking about influencers, there are a lot of great ones out there, and I just want to throw a couple of names out that I follow and inspire me because. Just as you said, like the chapters in the book, like I still learn crap every single day, and I will never know it all. And, there's a lot of people that I look up to and I follow and I learn from. And a few of those are Jeff Cavalier with Athlete X, of course. I feel like he's like the pinnacle. But a couple others that maybe people aren't too familiar with is Ryan Humiston. He's a little bit newer to the game. He's been doing it about a year now, but he's been consistent. And the dude is super humble, just this. I think of him as he's a massive dude, but like a gentle giant, and he'll just lay it out. He's on the West Coast or Arizona, I think. I think he's out of Arizona. And then another guy I really like is Will Tennyson. He's a little bit of a goofball, but he's super humble, super down to earth. He shows a lot of the everyday life, which I truly love. Like. He shows himself all the time, like yelling and splurging on donuts and like, hey, like this is real life. Like I eat healthy most of the time, but it's okay to splurge. And he really dumbs it down. So his is Will Tennyson, and he's from Canada.
Okay. Are they big YouTubers or what's their?
They are, platform? They're all mainly on YouTube and IG. So, gotcha. But yeah, Will Tenny, I think is his IG handle. Ryan Humiston, and then Joe Delaney. He's a character too, but really down to earth, just kind of says it like it is. And also I feel like he deals a lot with mindset stuff, which I really appreciate.
Yeah.
But he's out of, I don't know where, somewhere in the UK, but he does a lot of vlogs and just like his daily life. And he'll just show like, hey, I'm going grocery shopping and kind of just show it's very unflashy, and I just appreciate that.
I like that stuff too. Yeah, it's the raw, uncut footage where you're like, okay, he's like a really good dude. He doesn't have to be like someone else when he's got the camera in front of him. Right. I think that's pretty cool. Awesome, exactly. Man. I'm glad you brought those up. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah,
check them out. Yeah, dude, I want to talk about this because this was on your podcast. And I think it's super interesting with the energy drinks. I used to be sponsored by Bang Energy.
Did you really?
Yeah, so
that's pretty cool though.
It was a good start. I was a little hyped to have Bang Energy, 300 milligrams of caffeine in me.
Yeah.
But talk to us about your thoughts and what you've researched with like the Gatorades, the Body Armor, the Powerades.
Yeah.
And we'll start with sports drinks and then we'll go into energy drinks.
Okay. So I'm definitely more researched up with sports drinks than energy drinks. I've dived a little bit into energy drinks, but not quite as much. But as far as the sports drinks go, I mean, for the most part, it's really just a lot of sugar. So
it's so bad.
It's so much sugar. I mean, Gatorade and Body Armor, the regular versions, are almost as much as a can of soda. Like it's not far below it. And especially like the Gatorades, usually you grab the 32 ounces when you're working out, and it's just an insane amount of sugar in those. And, we think, well, there's vitamins and potassium in them and all this good electrolyte stuff. But you can drink water and have a piece of fruit and it do way more for you than all that sugar, because it's going to sustain you. Your body's going to be able to process it better than just all that sugar hitting your bloodstream at once.
For sure.
So for the most part, man, sports drinks, avoid them if possible. Now, I will say there are a couple good ones out there. The Body Armor Regular is probably one of the worst as far as sugar content goes. However, they have a Body Armor Light, which is actually pretty good. They use a stevia extract in it. It's very low in sugar. And it's really got all natural ingredients in it. So they did right with their light version. If they would just get rid of their regular version, I think
Yeah.
I'd be like
Is
Body
it,
Armor all the way. But
do they have stevia in it? Are they using like a different type of
yeah,
sugar?
they use
Yeah.
a stevia extract, but
Okay. That
it's
makes
a
sense.
small amount. The sugar grams is pretty low in it.
Yeah.
So and then also Bai, I really like them. BAI.
BAI. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah,
them on
it's
the
like
shelves.
it's usually like coconut water with flavoring. Again,
Okay.
they use stevia extract as well in theirs, and theirs is super low in calories. It's like 20 calories a bottle. So
Oh wow.
yeah, so I really like they're probably my number one go to. But
Cool.
Powerade, Gatorade, vitamin waters.
You just
I
can't do
mean,
it. You just can't do
no.
it. Like you don't see the thing is like you don't see the guys that are absolutely ripped and shredded like actually at the gym with a Gatorade or anything like
No.
that. It's such
And
a
you know,
gimmick.
and you also have to take in consideration a football player chugging down some Gatorade is a lot different than me or you chugging down some Gatorade. We are not
Absolutely.
putting forth near the exertion that they are for a solid 2 hours.
Yeah,
And all that sugar is going to turn to fat more than likely for us.
definitely.
And I'm not saying that it's the best choice for them either. I think they could do a lot better as well. But it it is a little bit different with the athletic level they're on too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think with the Gatorades, man, like the only time I drink a Gatorade is Sunday morning, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
It's just not it's not a good look. I would much rather
yeah,
take like not to plug my family's company, but I take the Replace slow release electrolytes.
yeah. Which you sent me, which are great. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's it, man. Like I run 8 miles and I take 2 tabs of that and I'm good to
Hmm.
go. I don't need that extra dextrose or sugar.
No.
I actually chew some like caffeinated gum. It's called
Hmm.
run gum, but like
Okay.
that's really all I need.
Yeah.
What about energy drinks? What are your thoughts on the energy drinks out there? You know, with Bang Energy, what scared me off, dude, was just the amount of caffeine in just that can. And like
Yes.
the extra ingredients that I was just like, well, what the heck is this? Like
Right.
what does the taurine do for me? Or like what is the like
Right.
super creatine? Like caffeine with creatine? I don't know if that's like a good mix. Like
Yeah. And I think that stuff hasn't even been researched enough yet. First
no,
off, again, we don't even really know what super creatine is other than what Bang is telling us,
it's
which
ridiculous.
and exactly like there's not been enough years worth of research done on this stuff to know the long-term effects of these. I mean, we know that there's been cases where people will down like three energy drinks in a row and they die. Like, so
Yeah.
that should tell us something. Like, it puts the heart at definitely a place it doesn't need to be at.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with having like a cup of coffee and having some caffeine. So I'm not saying like caffeine is evil, but it definitely is when it gets to a certain amount.
Definitely.
There's been proven benefits of low amounts of caffeine actually being beneficial for our brain productivity and our workouts and everything. But again, that's low dosage. That's way under. That's like a third of what's in one Bang. And I know people who will drink three of those things a day. So I
Oh my
mean,
God, three of
yeah,
those? Dude, the
yes,
half-life on caffeine stays in your body for so long. Like you won't
yeah.
get any sleep. Like your REM sleep will be terrible.
I know. I went through. I'm in the reserves in the military, and when I went through
Yeah.
basic training and my A school, and I'm in a very cyber related field, so it's a lot of computer desk people,
Yeah.
and the amount of energy drinks consumed by that community is ungodly.
Really?
I kid you
Actually?
not. Every single morning, people would come in with bags with
That's
at least two
hilarious.
energy drinks, a Coke, and then like a bag full of candy. And that would be like their daily intake. I'm just like, what are you doing?
That is god awful. I can't believe that. That's so
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yes. So it's sad because something, and even Bangs, yeah, I would say they're probably better than like a regular Monster, but at the
Hmm.
same time, it's kind of comparing like Coke to Coke Zero or something. It's like it may be a little better, but it's probably still not the best thing to be consuming.
Yeah.
And I just don't think the research is out there to really know the effects of all the extra stuff they add in these energy drinks. Like you
Well,
said, taurine and super creatine, and coupled with the ungodly amount of caffeine in them.
I'm a culprit of Red Bull right now. I'm drinking the zero sugar one.
Hmm.
That's just because I drink it for work, and
Yeah,
I like the taste, to be honest. Like I like Red
yeah,
Bull, but yeah, dude, I just the Bang energy just really I just didn't really like it. Like I mean,
Yeah.
it tastes good, but I didn't really know what was in it, and I was like, I
Right.
don't know if I should be drinking this every day.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
that's what I tell people. They're like, "Can I have an energy drink?" I'm like, having one once in a while, I don't think is going to hurt anything. Like, but don't make it a daily habit. If you have one a week or something, yeah, go for it. You're not hurting anything, I don't think. But when it's a consistent everyday habit, that's when I think you really run into trouble. And that's really with any, not healthy thing. It's the consistency of it that really gets us.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna check to see if we got any questions. I'm not sure. I know we had like a pretty small crowd. People were jumping in and out. I've never done this
Yeah.
before, so I didn't know what to
Yeah, this is cool.
expect.
I haven't either. So,
But I do have I got not a squaw on here for questions, but as far as like COVID and everything that's going on, like how have you been handling the COVID situation for your businesses, and like how have you adapted to the new norm in a sense?
honestly, I do everything online to begin with, so it really wasn't a big transition for me because I was,
Totally.
people were like, "Oh, I got to learn Zoom." I'm like, "Oh, I've been using Zoom for a long time and stuff like
Yeah.
that." So, in some ways, it was easy, and also, and both, like my wife runs a completely different online business, totally unrelated to fitness, but both of us found that we really thrived during this time. I guess maybe because people had more time on their hands to do new things and try new things, and it entered in the online space and made people feel more comfortable with it. Maybe I don't really know, but
Yeah.
that part of it was easy. I will say, being cooped up with two small children for like 5 months had my wife and I both like beating our heads against the wall some days. But I think everybody's in that boat with just tired of being like confined. But I will say, Georgia, I live in Georgia, and we actually were one of the first states to open. So, like, my daughter started school back up today. So, she's back in school, and
That's
gyms have
crazy
been
early.
open. Yeah, I know, right?
Why do
Gyms
they have
opened.
school so early? Just
Well, we
curious.
normally start. We normally start middle of August. Schools get out early here. They get out in like May, and they go back mid-August.
Okay.
Um, it's pretty normal. They did bump it up by about 10 days this year because Augusta is big for the Masters. I don't know if you follow golf at all.
Yeah. No,
And
definitely.
they had to move it to November. And everything shuts down in this city when Masters week. So they had to allot for that week off of school. So that's why they started a week earlier.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
but yeah, it's been, I mean, I think like everybody, there's definitely been challenging things to it, but I have to say, all in all, we've been really blessed throughout it.
Yeah,
And my
it's
day job,
bizarre.
I've been able to telework every day, so it's been good.
Yeah, I this is a business question or just something a little different that I want to ask because I've been curious to see what people are up to. But as far
Yeah,
as, the shift with what's going on and, not having access to go to, every single like store or, you have to adjust with
yeah.
e-commerce and buy things online. What's one item or, convenient thing that you've been buying normally, like physically in a store that you've been buying online that has been a shift for you or like a change for you as far as consuming something?
Um, that's a good question.
I know
I,
I heard Gary Vee say it in a lot of his episodes, and it is kind of interesting to hear. Like, you know, I, I'll give you like a few examples. Like sometimes I'll just call Fred Meyers and have them, get my groceries and send it over to my
yeah,
house. Like I'd never done that
yeah,
before, and then I was like, you know what, screw
right.
it, that's way more convenient. And
Yeah.
so it's just a
I
little
haven't done the
different.
grocery delivery thing. I've been tempted, but I'm also a cheap wad, so I'm always like, yeah, I don't really want to spend extra money.
For sure.
But I would say clothing is one thing I've definitely bought
Yeah.
more of online during this time. That's usually one of the few things because I buy a lot of stuff online to begin with, but that's one of the few things I think I do go in stores to buy sometimes. So I definitely have purchased more clothing online during this whole ordeal.
hmm
Um,
What kind of
that'd probably
brands?
be the biggest. Usually Under Armour
Yeah.
or different online athletic companies like My Protein, High Elite. There's another one, but those are like my main. Like my entire wardrobe is like workout clothes. I pretty much live in workout clothes.
Dude, it's your life. It's your livelihood. Respect. So
Yeah,
it makes
I think
sense.
somebody popped something in here.
What do we got? It's hard for me to read them.
Uh,
Stress eating.
Brandon.e said, I love that we can disagree on 90% of everything said and still find success in fitness.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Everyone has
And
different
then
experiences.
that's true. And then
Different hot
Aguero,
takes.
I'm having issues with my weight back when I was 15. My freshman years in high school, I was 180 pounds. I did boxing for about 3 years. And since then, I've gained 80 pounds because I've been stress eating with my high school classes. I was also taking early college classes. I'm currently a senior and I still have my old equipment. They keep going away on me. And I was wondering if you had any tips for me to burn fat and get muscle and just try to get lean. If you have any tips, let me know.
So it just sounds like he's having a problem with like having a plan or like just binge eating from stress. That's what it sounds like
Yeah.
briefly. Do you want to jump on that and start with that?
Go ahead. I'll let you go.
I would say to really condense this, number one, you got to find a program or a plan and you got to stick to it. And that's one of the biggest problems is people just go online, social media, find a workout, do it, and then the next day they don't have really a plan or a program.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, and I always tell folks this too, is having like your meals actually prepped, especially for your
Mm-hmm.
lunches, doing the Sunday
Yes.
meal preps has really helped me with my weight control because I know what I'm going to be consuming for at least
Yeah.
lunches. Um, I am an advocate for intermittent fasting, so that has really helped me
Mm-hmm.
with maintaining, if not losing, a lot of weight quickly and efficiently.
Yeah.
That's changed quite a bit for me because I've been obviously running, 40 miles a week, and
Yeah, you've been
so
killing all the runs.
yeah, I don't really have to worry about my weight control. It's just right now it's how much protein, like you were
Yeah.
saying earlier in the program. So yeah, have a program. That's very important. And having your meals prepped, I think is very important. And you said
Yeah.
it too, removing soda out of your diet. Soda is garbage. Like you do not want
Yes.
soda if you're trying to lose weight. Diet doesn't
No.
matter. Like get it out of your system. You're gonna
Mm-hmm.
have those cravings, but once you get past that hump, like right now,
Yeah.
it's not the best to drink these, but this helps with cravings. I drink
Yeah.
Zevia too, or
Mm-hmm.
Zevia. I don't know what you call it, but it's
Yeah.
carbonated water. So carbonated water really helps blunt your hunger.
It
Um,
does.
that's works for me. And so those top three tips I would say with weight loss is, having a plan, meal prepping, and, coming up with ways to like not have sugar,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
Minimize your sugar.
Right. He says, I've tried cutting my diet lately and I've been doing basic workouts I used to do when I was boxing because I remember a lot of the exercises I had to do as I was starting. And and I'll just add to this, like exercise is great and you should be exercising regularly, but in all honesty, if you're trying to cut weight, it all comes down to your nutrition. I mean, you can exercise every day, but if
Yeah.
you're still eating in an excess, you're not going to lose weight.
Hmm.
So really cut down the calories overall, and like Cooper was saying, clean up the diet as well.
Yeah. I'm glad someone asked a question. That's great. Um,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
John Howard said hello. Hey, what's up, John?
Yeah. Shout out to John. We appreciate you jumping on here. It's awesome. Um, so I guess to wrap things up, because we've been talking for about a little over 35, 40 minutes. How can people reach out to you or where can they reach out to you and get in contact with you?
Yeah. Really anywhere. Aguero said, okay, so just control what I eat. Yeah. I mean, that's the biggest thing that's going to help you is definitely your nutrition. But as far as reaching out to me, I'm really everywhere at Bones to Bulk. You can find me on the only social media platform I'm not on is Twitter. So anywhere else you can find me at Bones to Bulk, YouTube, TikTok, IG, Facebook, Pinterest. If you're interested in the podcast, just search Bones to Bulk wherever you get your podcast.
Brandon, you're gonna get on here for sure. Let's do it. OG Wero, feel free to DM us too. Like we're
Yeah,
on here,
yeah.
we're on here for you guys. So don't be shy. I know that Bryan has programs on his website for meal ideas as well. I have some on mine, but I would suggest or recommend going to Bryan's as well. So just giving you that hot 2 cents there too.
Yeah, yeah. And like Cooper said, don't be afraid to hit us up, direct message us. We'll respond.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry to cut you off there, but yeah. Anyways, so website bones2bulk.com. You have your
Yes.
podcast. That's Bones to Bulk podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah, and I highly
Yep.
encourage you
And it's
guys to
on
tune
pretty much
in.
everything like Google, iTunes, Spotify.
Yeah.
I mean, you can listen to it on my website as well. So
Cool, man. Well, thanks for hopping on. This is a little different,
yeah,
but you know, you gotta switch it up. You gotta start something
that's right.
new, and
That's right.
yeah, you gotta innovate, right?
For sure. For sure. No, it's really good. I appreciate you having me on and just good discussion, good questions. And yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a few more, maybe on Facebook Live, or we'll figure it out. But I'll talk to
Yeah.
you off this, and hopefully those two other guys that I had on the podcast will reach out to you as well, that I
Yeah. That'd be
mentioned.
great.
But all right, man. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and make today count.
Heck yeah. All right.
Thanks, Brian.
Talk to you later,
Peace.
Cooper.
Take
Bye.
care.